Today, we're diving into something that separates men who create real attraction from men who get politely ignored. And here's what's wild about this. It has zero to do with your bank account, nothing to do with whether you're 6'2", and absolutely nothing to do with rehearsed lines you memorized from some dating coach. The reality is there are specific communication patterns that reach past surface-level small talk and connect with something deeper in how women experience emotional chemistry. I'm going to break down exactly what these patterns are, explain why they work on a psychological level, and give you the one critical piece most men completely overlook. This detail is what separates men women think about days later from men they forget before they even get home. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you'll understand how to communicate in a way that creates genuine connection, not manufactured attraction. Let me start with something I've noticed after years of studying this. The men who naturally draw women in aren't the smoothest talkers. They're not reciting poetry. They're not the guys with the most Instagram followers. What they have is one core skill. They communicate their truth without dilution. While most men are stuck in conversations that go nowhere, constantly editing themselves, trying to avoid saying the wrong thing, worried about coming on too strong, the men who actually create attraction do something fundamentally different. They use language patterns that work like emotional shortcuts, bypassing the logical brain and speaking directly to how a woman feels in your presence. Here's the thing. Human psychology responds to certain communication structures, and these patterns, when delivered with genuine intent, create what we call emotional anchoring. They make you memorable. They make the interaction feel significant. Where are you watching from? By the way, drop your city below. I'm Issabela, and I'm curious where you all are tuning in from today. All right, let's get into this. I'm giving you 5 patterns today, one more than most people talk about because that 5th one is the game changer nobody mentions. Pattern 1, I want. This sounds almost too basic, right? But watch what happens internally when a man uses these 2 words with clarity and groundedness. First, he's owning his desire. He's not asking permission. He's not floating a trial balloon to see if it's safe. He's being direct about what he actually wants. And here's something crucial about female psychology. Women respond to men who operate from internal clarity. Why does this matter? Because clarity signals leadership. It signals you can make a decision without needing her to do the emotional labor of deciding for both of you. It shows you're willing to take responsibility for creating experiences. Consider the contrast. When you say something like, maybe if you're not busy, we could hang out sometime, whatever you feel like. What message are you actually sending? Uncertainty, fear of rejection, and unwillingness to take a position. Now compare that to, I want to take you to dinner Friday night. There's a spot in the West End I've been wanting to try, and I think you'd love it. Feel that difference? You're not pleading, you're leading. You're painting a picture of an experience and inviting her into it. That shift in frame is everything. This isn't about being forceful. It's about being clear. It's about having enough self-respect to state your intentions and let her decide from there. When you do this, you're activating masculine-feminine polarity. You position yourself as the man who takes initiative, and that naturally draws out the side of her that wants to respond to confident direction. Pattern 2, I notice. Now this is where depth enters the equation. If you only use I want, you risk coming across as self-focused, like you're just announcing your agenda without actually seeing who she is. But when you pair initiative with awareness, you create balance. You show that yes, you know what you want, but you're also tuned into her as a person, not just as a woman you're pursuing. Here's a real example. Instead of just saying, I want to see you again, try this. I want to spend more time with you. I notice the way you approach problems. There's a thoughtfulness there that's rare. Do you see what just happened? You're not just expressing interest. You're demonstrating that you've been paying attention to who she actually is. You're acknowledging something specific about her character, her mind, her energy. And here's why this lands so powerfully. Most men only comment on appearance. They compliment her dress, her smile, her hair, all surface level. But you're going deeper. You're showing her that you see beyond the obvious, and that creates a completely different level of connection. When you genuinely notice and articulate what you notice, you're not chasing her. You're choosing her based on qualities that matter. Women can feel that distinction instantly. If this is landing for you, hit that like button. It tells me you're serious about improving how you show up. Pattern 3, I respect. Here's where most men fumble without realizing it. They confuse attraction with admiration, or they forget that respect is actually part of what creates sustainable chemistry. When you say, I respect, you're communicating that you see her as an equal, someone whose boundaries, time, and autonomy matter to you. This isn't weak. This is mature masculine energy. Let's say she tells you she needs space to think about something or she's busy with a project this week. A man operating from scarcity might push back, might try to convince her otherwise, might take it personally. A man with frame says, I respect that. Handle your business. Let me know when you're free. What did you just do? You showed that her life doesn't revolve around you and yours doesn't revolve around her. You demonstrated non-neediness, which is one of the most attractive qualities a man can have. You gave her room to breathe, and ironically, that often makes her want to close the distance faster. This pattern also applies to values and opinions. If she shares something she cares about, even if you don't fully agree, you can say, I respect your perspective on that. I see it differently, but I appreciate where you're coming from. You're holding your own position while acknowledging hers. That's strength. That's emotional maturity, and that creates trust, which is the foundation of real attraction. Pattern 4, I feel. Now, a lot of men resist this one. They think expressing feelings is weakness, especially in early interactions. But here's the reality. Emotional honesty, when delivered from a grounded place, is magnetic. I'm not talking about dumping insecurity on her. I'm talking about owning your internal experience without shame. For instance, I feel good around you. There's an ease to this that I don't usually experience. Or, I feel like we're on the same wavelength. The conversation flows without effort. What you're doing here is naming the emotional atmosphere you're both creating. You're giving language to the connection, which makes it more real, more tangible in her mind. This also builds emotional intimacy without forced vulnerability. You're not oversharing or making it heavy. You're just being honest about your experience in a way that invites her to recognize hers. Most men never do this. They keep everything intellectual, surface level, transactional. But the men who create deep attraction understand that emotion is the currency of connection. When you can articulate what you feel clearly and calmly, you stand out from 90% of the men she's ever talked to. Now, here's the mistake that destroys all of this. And you need to hear this clearly. The mistake is using these words without alignment. You know what alignment means? It's when your body language, your tone, your energy, and your words are all saying the same thing. If you say, I want to take you out, but your voice is shaky, your eyes are darting around, and your posture is collapsed, the message doesn't land. Your body is broadcasting insecurity while your words are trying to project confidence. Women are incredibly attuned to this incongruence. It registers as dishonesty, not because you're lying, but because there's a mismatch between what you're saying and what you're embodying. So, when you say I want, you need to be grounded. Shoulders back, eye contact steady, voice calm and firm. When you say I notice or I feel, you need to slow down. Let the words carry weight. Let the sincerity come through in your delivery. This is where presence matters more than perfect phrasing. The words are tools, but your energy is the foundation. And here's another thing, timing. You're not walking around saying these phrases robotically in every conversation. That's weird. You use them strategically in moments when you genuinely want to deepen the connection or establish clear intent. For example, at the end of a great conversation, you look at her and say, I want to continue this. I notice we vibe in a way that doesn't happen often. Let's make plans. You just created an emotional anchor. Now, when she thinks about you later, she'll remember feeling seen, valued, and pursued with clarity all at once. Pattern 5, I choose. This is the bonus pattern, and honestly, it's the most powerful of all. I choose does something the other four don't. It communicates agency at the deepest level. It says, I have options, I have standards, and I'm actively choosing you based on what I value. This isn't arrogance, it's self-respect. And nothing is more attractive than a man who knows his worth and operates from choice, not desperation. Here's how it sounds in practice. I choose to invest my time here because I genuinely enjoy who you are. Or, I choose to be honest with you even when it's uncomfortable because that's how I operate. What you're doing is framing the relationship, whatever stage it's at, as something you're consciously creating, not something that's just happening to you. You're the author, not a character being written by circumstances. This also subtly communicates pre-selection. It implies that you have other possibilities, but this is where you're directing your energy. And paradoxically, that makes her investment in you increase because people value what feels chosen, not what feels settled for. So let's bring this together. You've got 5 patterns now. I want, I notice, I respect, I feel, and I choose. Each one serves a purpose. Together, they create a communication style that's grounded, emotionally intelligent, and magnetically attractive. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to be real, clear, and present. And here's your action step. Pick one of these patterns and consciously use it in your next meaningful conversation. Not with women necessarily, just in life. Practice owning your wants, noticing people deeply, respecting boundaries, naming feelings, and choosing intentionally. Do that and watch how the energy around you shifts. If you made it this far, drop a comment that says, I watched till the end. I want to see who's really paying attention and committed to growth. And hey, subscribe if you haven't yet. Every week, I'm bringing you insights like this that'll give you a real edge in how you show up, not just in dating, but in life. Oh, and one more thing. I gave you 5 patterns today instead of the usual 4 most people talk about, because that 5th one, I choose the layer that transforms everything else from technique into genuine power. All right, that's it. Go apply this. I'll see you in the next. Thanks for watching Personality with Areeba. If you enjoy videos about human personality, psychology, and behavior, make sure to subscribe to my channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon so you never miss any new videos. See you in the next video with another interesting personality insight. Until then, take care and keep improving yourself. This is Areeba, signing off.